The ghost that got into our house on the night of November 17th, 1915, raised such a hullabaloo of misunderstandings that I am sorry I didn't just let it keep on walking and go to bed. Its advent caused my mother to throw a shoe through a window of the house next door and ended up with my grandfather shooting a patrolman. I am sorry, therefore, as I have said, that I ever paid any attention to the footsteps. They began about 1:15 in the morning, a rhythmic, quick, cadenced walking around the dining room table. My mother was asleep in one room upstairs, my brother Herman in another. Grandfather was in the attic, in the old walnut bed which, as you will remember, once fell on my father. I had just stepped out of the bathtub and was busily rubbing myself with the towel when I heard the steps. They were the steps of a man walking rapidly around the dining room table downstairs. The light from the bathroom shone down the back steps, which dropped directly into the dining room. I could see the faint shine of plates on the plate rail. I couldn't see the table. The steps kept going, round and round the table. At regular intervals, a board creaked when it was trod upon. I supposed at first that it was my father or my brother Roy, who had gone to Indianapolis, but were expected home at any time. I suspected next that it was a burglar. It did not enter my mind until later that it was a ghost. I tiptoed to Herman's room. He got up and followed me to the head of the back staircase. We listened together. There was no sound.
What on earth are you boys doing?
We heard things.
We'll call the police.
What is all that running around going on upstairs?
Burglars.
Don't you dare go another step. I'm going to call the police. Get back down here.
I want the police to come.
Finally, the cops put their shoulders to our big, heavy front door with its thick, beveled glass and broke it in. I could hear a rending of wood and a splash of glass on the floor of the hall. Their lights played all over the living room and crisscrossed nervously in the dining room, stabbed into hallways, shot up the front stairs, and finally up the back line. They caught me standing in my towel at the top. A heavy policeman bounded up the steps.
Who are you? I live here.
Hello, officer. There are 2 or 3 burglars in the house.
I'll have a look around. Looky here, Joe. What is it? It's an old zither our guinea pig used to sleep on.
When I got to the attic, things were pretty confused. Grandfather had evidently jumped to the conclusion that the police were deserters from Meade's army trying to hide away in his attic. He bounded out of bed wearing a long flannel nightgown over long woolen underwear, a nightcap, and a leather jacket around his chest. The cops must have realized at once that the indignant, white-haired old man belonged in the house, but they had no chance to say so.
Back, ye cowardly dogs! Back to the line, you goddamn lily-livered cattle!
Oh my God! Grandfather thinks you're deserters!
The police searched the area, but nothing was to be found.
No sign of nobody, lady. Must have gotten away. What do you look like?
There was 2 or 3 of them. They were whooping, carrying on, and slamming doors.
Windows and doors was locked as tight as a tick.
The neighbors heard all of the racket, so they came over to see what was going on.
Just what the hell is the real lowdown here, kid?
We had ghosts. We'll sell the house and go back to Peoria.
Burglars! There's burglars in the house!
Now that things settled down, Mother wanted to know what was going on with the police officer and Grandfather. So she asked. We sat down to talk about it, and this is what she found out.
What was the matter with that one police officer?
Grandfather shot him.
What for? Of all things, he was such a nice-looking young man.
Grandfather was fresh as a daisy and full of jokes at breakfast next morning. We thought at first he had forgotten about all what happened, but he hadn't. Over his third cup of coffee, he glared at Herman and me. What was the idea of all those cops tarty-hooting round the house last night? He demanded. He had us there.
The police to come! Hello, officer. There's 2 or 3 burglars in the house.
No, Emily, you guys seem more like scared.
Back, ye lawns, you cowardly dogs! Back to the cowardly, liverly lavender pile! Back, ye lawns, you cowardly dogs! Back to the cowardly, liverly lavender pile! Back, you cowardly dogs! Back to the line! You goddamn lily livered pile!
It's worth the fight on letting it slide and wasting away, waiting to be saved. So I made my own luck, kept my head on straight and kicked up the dust. And the money wouldn't do me much. I did it for the love and that was enough. The way I dreamed it ain't the way it played out. Missed every road that looked to be the safe route. No directions, I made my way out. I don't give a damn what they say, don't way now. We don't care what the people say, we don't care what they wanna do.
What was the matter with that one police officer?
Grandfather shot him.
What for? Of all things, he was such a nice young man.
Wobbly wobble, 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 we are cooking the house and we are doing rocker project.
I'm about to get mine. It's about that time. We don't care what the people say, we don't care what they wanna do, we don't care about